All right, another edition of Cut to It. Hey, hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. It'll only take a few seconds. Bing. And if you like something, if you don't like something, leave something in the comment box. If we like it, we'll respond. If we don't like it, we will report you.
I feel like you're much more likely, based on the 2-year track record, to get a response if you don't like it. If you say something negative, that's much more likely to get a response.
Oh, I'll respond now.
I know.
I didn't respond to several people.
Oh, well, no, buddy, I'm just a fan.
All right. How was Coley's divisional round weekend? What did you like? What didn't you like? Just tell me your experience of watching these great games.
Man, it made me grateful as a fan for all that I've been lucky to experience with my own team throughout my life. Because let me tell you, you see how hard it is to win these kinds of games. How we've talked about it before. It's not necessarily the 60 minutes. It's a handful of plays throughout each game that really dictate who's going to win. Watching, especially the end of Bills Chiefs, it was like, man, the Chiefs really had a couple plays I think they wish they would have made here. And then, of course, the Bills missed the field goal. And it's like, well, now the Chiefs get to breathe that sigh of relief. The same sigh of relief that the Packers didn't get because they couldn't make those plays that could have swung the game in their favor. Mm-hmm. So you really see and start to appreciate, man, to be able to do it once, let alone multiple times, is insane based on how difficult it is just to advance to the next round, to live another day.
So let's dive into that one then. Let's go to the Packers and 49ers. Now I've been accused of saying that I don't watch football games because I keep emphasizing the 49ers secondary.
Right.
I keep saying the 49ers secondary, if something doesn't work out, it has to go on the fact that the 49ers secondary, at times, Tre'Davious Ward is balling. He's only one ball.
Yeah.
He's only one consistency that you can line up on whoever your number one wide receiver is, and you at least have some confidence to say, hey, this ain't going to be an easy catch. You can't say that with some of the other guys, number 20, Thomas. When he's out there, it ain't 50-50, it ain't 60-40. That thing about, what, 85-15?
15?
75-25?
Yeah.
That something bad is going to happen if number 20 is out there? I don't know what the result is going to be, but the result, your first few 10 thoughts are not 20's going to make that play. For me, the 49ers game and the Packers I thought it was good football. You relight that rivalry for the 49ers and Packers.
Rivalry? The nail have a rivalry with the hammer? Because that's the Packers right now. It doesn't matter if it's Cap. It doesn't matter if it's Jimmy. It doesn't matter if it's Purdy. The Packers find ways to lose this game no matter what.
I wouldn't say that they found a way to lose this game. I would say it's more an indication on how good this 49ers team is.
Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to take anything away from the 49ers. They went out and won this game. But as someone, I hate to keep bringing it back to myself, but as someone who watched a team that could not win a World Series for 86 years, I believe in curses. There's some sort of weird 49ers-Packers curse that I don't quite understand, but it exists.
Okay. I mean, I don't. Being a sports guy, I don't believe in that stuff. I just believe in, hey, it's not a curse he dropped that ball. He just dropped that ball. Sometimes you just drop a pass. Sometimes the defender just is a better defender. He's a better player than you. And sometimes fans forget to Google why that man is making this stack and this man who dropped it make this stack. I mean, that's it, right? It's just there. I thought Matt LaFleur did a heck of a job of keeping the the 49ers defenders on their toes. You talk about 49ers team top 5. They had a ton of pressures. I believe I may be mistaken there in the 60s, 50s. They're up there in sacks, and yet was unable to get really any substantial sacks or any kind of pressure that would cause another team to make a ton of mistakes. But what I really love what Matt LaFleur did is Matt LaFleur threw the kitchen sink. And so that leads me into this. And think about this. I wrote down, Debo being out impacted the game the same way the Philadelphia Eagles were impacted in their game with the absence of A.J. Brown. When you don't have that number one wide receiver that the offense goes through, because this offense for the 49ers is layered. It's like a 7-layer dip. It's like it has so many different elements. It's just really hard to do that. When Debo goes down, then they put Ray McCloud and Jawan Jennings in. They played well. They did okay. I don't think they impacted the game in the pass game the same way Debo does when he's out there. And I believe that could be, if Debo's not able to play and they make it to the Super Bowl, he's not able to play in the Super Bowl or be 100% like a Amari Cooper, then things get a little bit different.
What was the thought process behind Jordan Love's last pass? Because did he think someone was offsides, perhaps?
You know, cotton picking well, we all have seen it. Some of those plays have been drawn up a certain way. How they're executed and what happens during the play is just the athleticism. And so because of that athleticism that you have, because of that track record of 76 explosive plays, 20-plus yards, you have done some things that we all know, bro, you shouldn't be doing that. You know you should not have thrown the ball across your body. You should not have caught that pass with one hand over the sideline where you could have caught it with two. It's so many things that happen, but your confidence grows in the player and the confidence grows in the play caller because we have a track record that says we're top 10 in the league. 76, we're 10 plays away from being as good or better than the San Francisco 49ers statistically. Mm-hmm. That's where it comes in. It comes in like, bro, he's been slanging a ball across his body, left and right, throwing it in places, putting the ball in places that no one believed Jordan Love will put the ball in places the same way Brock Purdy is, which gets quarterbacks in trouble. Josh Allen does it. Patrick Mahomes, everybody does it.
Typically, at least someone wearing the same color jerseys in the area, though. Like, it would have been nice.
Yes, sometimes they are. But most of the times, the reason why you do it is you've been successful before. Sure. So what are you going to do? Well, let's try one more time because it worked last time. Right? Especially if you watch him, he had that thing. Oh. Yeah, hung like that. So he was really saying, hey, I'm about to watch me throw this dart. Have you ever, give me a piece of paper. Give me, right here. You ever had a piece of paper? Give me a trash can. Where's a trash can at? You ever had that trash can? You iron it and you hit that donk. And you look around like, I hope nobody saw that. That was so uncharacteristic of me. But it happens. The thing that I love about the last month and a half of the season for the Packers, one, they lost Aaron Jones for 5 weeks in the middle of the season, which I believe helped Aaron Jones stay healthy. And I would imagine with the inability of A.J. Dillon being able to see the hole when it's open, I would believe they would try to. I think that the Wilson is the guy that looks like they're trying to keep him in the mix. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine the same way that Matt LaFleur has built this wide receiver core, where there's no star wide receiver yet. There's no what we call the playmaker. There's no like go-to guy, right? There's no go-to guy that you can say, he's our Justin Jefferson, he's our
Sure.
Stephon Diggs. It's a whole bunch of guys that you have to really concentrate on because they all bring so many different things to the field. One's a vertical guy, one's a vertical horizontal guy, one's a horizontal guy, the one's a tall guy, one's a short guy, one's a gadget guy, one's a fast guy. One's a guy who he's very fast, runs pretty decent routes, but his hamstring makes him available. So he's not always there as well. And so they have everything, right? They have the jack of all trades. I think they're going to move into that same category to keep Aaron Jones fresh because a fresh Aaron Jones makes this Packers team differently. It makes them allows for them to play throw for throw, play for play, run for run, defensive stand for defensive stance against potentially the best team in football in the NFC with the 49ers that have been that way the whole year into a very dangerous team, meaning the Green Bay Packers heading into free agency and heading into the draft.
How did Purdy look to you? Because it's one thing to go out there, throw 5 touchdowns, lead the entire game, walk out of there with a win. Not saying that's not impressive, but it's not quite the pressure of making some bad throws early that could have been disastrous. You live another day. And then late in the game, driving down the field, getting the game-winning score, orchestrating all that. I sent a play in the group chat where he flips a play early. It was the Christian McCaffrey long touchdown run. He flips the play from left to right.
Yeah,
Kittle's supposed to go in motion. He checks the clock. He says, we don't have enough time for your fake motion. Just stay there. We're going to get this play off. Boom, touchdown. Those are the kind of things you don't see until people break down film, or at least fans like myself don't see until someone else breaks down the film and puts it out there. In the game, it looks like, I even said it during the game, it looks like he wants to throw this game away. How many times he was drilling Packers in the numbers, they just weren't able to catch it, but he stayed composed and poised and got the job done. That felt like a pretty impressive win to me.
It wasn't a pretty impressive win because the way he started off. The pressure the Baltimore Ravens were able to have on them, the pressure that teams were able to have when Deebo Samuels missed those 4 games early in the year, which is they had that 4-game skid where he didn't look great. The pressure made Brock Purdy do some un-Purdy things that you have to be concerned with heading into the championship weekend, because Hutchinson, he's going to get after you. And if you run enough plays, somebody's going to become free and have a rusher that's going to cause some kind of pressure, a knockdown, a hurry up. And can Brock Purdy keep his composure, or will he have a moment that every quarterback has where the pressure gets to him and they do something that goes, oh no. And every quarterback in the league, even Patrick Mahomes under pressure, will do some things that they have that look when they get up like, did I just do that? And the fans are saying, yes, fool, you did do that. So it was impressive.
But another team, kind of in the same position as the Packers, young quarterback, a lot of youth, got bounced in this round, but ton of cap space as well. Houston Texans.
Ooh.
Part of the problem I have with even being like, the future looks so bright. I think of Penny and Shaq. I think of Durant and Russell Westbrook and Serge Ibaka and James Harden. Like there's always this promise of next year. Next year is no guarantee. Just because now you're playing a first place schedule as opposed to a fourth place schedule.
Ooh,
guys are going to be moving.
You're not surprising. You're not sneaking up on anybody.
Right? Yeah.
You lose your offensive coordinator?
There's a lot. There's a lot you got to deal with. So I'm interested to see how. I'm not saying obviously it's not doom and gloom for the Texans. They got
No, it's not.
They got Stroud, they got Will Anderson, they got D'Amico. I'm confident in that trio at the bare minimum, but it's only going to get tougher from here.
Thought it was a really good game. It was a closer game than I anticipated in the first half. I thought as the game progressed, as the game stayed close, the Texans started to believe that they can win this football game. I believe that it was extremely interesting to see, even though they weren't moving the football at all, right? Had less than 100 yards, but they gave themselves a fighting chance. I thought CJ did a really good job. As much as the rest that he was under, I thought to some degree he never really seemed shaken by it. Now you could tell he did some things like a few of the throwaways that it was like, bro, that was not no. And he was selling it too, like, no, he was right there. Bro, no. But I thought he did a really good job. They are, we talked about, they're going to be a dangerous team. But one of the things that the Ravens did that really took away and made Houston look un-Houston-like compared to through the whole season, man, a lot of intermediate throws, no big explosive throws at all.
Yeah.
They either didn't have enough time or guys just couldn't get open.
Yeah, it felt like the first time they really missed Tank Dell's speed.
I agree with you. Another thing that, Coach Harbaugh's been there 16 years. That punt return was only prior to Sims having that punt return for a touchdown. They only have 4 punt returns for it. That is now heading into, unless something happens this weekend, and heading into the 2024 season. 2024 in September, this will be Coach Harbaugh's 17th season, and only giving up 5 punt returns for a touchdown. And that's pretty darn good. You're talking about excellent coaching. Now, he's not coaching the special teams. And how do I know that? Because I used to be there. That's how I know. Most position coach, the position of the coach, unless you know it and he's telling you and you see him calling the plays, most of them don't call the plays. They have input, they check, but they don't call it. Coach Harbaugh is not calling the special teams play. I think Chris Hubert is calling it, and can't remember his name, that he's calling it, but I know Coach Harbaugh is not. And Coach Harbaugh is on them, and you want to get yelled at, let a special teams play be given up. Offense, defense, he'll kind of give you a frown and he'll give you a side eye, but when he's going to say something. And I mean, that's going to get his juices flowing, and it's not going to be possible.
Even if he's not calling special teams plays, coverages, and whatnot, that speaks more to the CEO role of a head coach, where it's not something he's overlooking either. He's making sure he has the right people coaching that unit year after year, because that's not a mistake after nearly 2 decades of holding head coaching position.
The thing that I love, and I know Kyle Shanahan does it as well, Matt LaFleur is kind of similar, but even Coach Harbaugh, in comparison, when I was playing here in Carolina under Coach Rivera and going to Coach Harbaugh, the one thing that I noticed Coach Harbaugh does that I did not get as much with Coach Rivera was situational football. Every week, every day in practice, we had some kind of situational football that we had to do always, whether it's special teams, special teams, offense, no timeouts, defense. It was always some situation for the day that we had to show that we were competent in knowing what to do so we would not be surprised if it came up.
Yeah.
That is something that sets Coach Harbaugh apart from the 1, 2, 3, 4 coaches that I've been coached by. Let's jump down to the Kansas City and Buffalo game, because some people they have so many things that they want to complain about this game. And so JB, our producer, had asked me a question. I said, stop. Have Coley ask me, because so many people are complaining about this. And my take on it is so different. Even JB was like, wow, okay. I didn't think about that. So go ahead and ask me.
I see several questions here. Yeah. So let's see if I get the right one. Will we see Stephon Diggs in a Bills uniform again?
That's not the
all right.
One.
That's
not the right one. One more time.
Listen,
Try one more time.
Is Khalil Shakir the new wide receiver one for the Buffalo?
Nope. No. The question, I knew you weren't going to, I know it's like 5 of them. I knew you weren't going to get it, but I love, the fake punt.
Oh, boy.
And it's not even on here. Good job, JB. Sorry.
Listen, I can only work with the play calls I'm given from the OC. I'm in here.
He just threw you under the bus, JB.
I'm in here.
See how fast it happens?
You brought it up. I wasn't going to say it wasn't on there. You're the one who did that. Classic wide receiver. You say, hey, give me the damn ball. That's what you're saying. Yeah. I'm saying, listen.
Hey, you overthrew it, and I'm like, hey, I'm 5'9".
Yeah. Coach told me I have to feed Olsen on this play. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did McDermott think he was having his Sunday morning Sports Center moment? Why did he think the Chiefs were just going to go, here you go, here's the first down, DeMar?
So people are like, man, I thought that was a dumb play. People are like, oh, that's a failed play. Bro, I know, but it's not. You know how many times I've heard fans as an analyst sitting in the stands, they talk about Todd Bowles. Oh, too conservative.
Sure.
You got to pick one, or are you going to be the referee in the basketball game, or are you going to be the player? You can't call your fouls. And, hey, man, that's double dribble. Oh, he moved his pivot foot. You got to pick one or the other. Most of the time, when they have these special plays, they have the plays they've been practicing these plays for weeks. And they had this play implemented because analytics and how they drew it up said, this play will work. Because most of the plays that teams run, they have borrowed, observed, noted, and have on videotape this play being executed, whether it was 15 years ago, 15 minutes ago, someone has run this play and has been successful. Very rarely, it's 32 teams, so I have to say that, very rarely will the team actually borrow a play or duplicate a play that was not actually successful in what they're trying to accomplish.
I think there are a couple other factors and variables as to that play working. Like, was it with the chance to go to the AFC Championship, or was it week 3? Was it to
it was AFC Championship on the line, because that's why he risked. That's why Coach McDermott said, "Hey, let's give it a try."
Do you think that has a better success than just having your quarterback run a real play?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's not that I hate going for it. I understand the numbers.
You just talking about how it was. First of all, they had 10 people on the field, so it's automatic. Oh well, we got a chance. They got one less person we got to block for. Right? I'm just thinking about
much worse.
How does it make it worse? I'm going.
You think couldn't get a push on less players like the?
Yeah. We should be able. Like, I'm sitting there. Look, we should be able to get a play off. They got 10. Hell, this is a chance to go for it. Like, there's probably, hey, we're going for it. And then it's like 10. Hurry up, snap it.
Well, they also they had Hamlin. I won't say he was in motion, but they also weren't trying to hide him. He wasn't necessarily playing it cool. He kept setting and resetting. And if you watch Kansas City, I can't remember.
This is a dude that almost died. Do you think he got patience? I mean, no. that brother. That brother is living life, doggy.
Sean McDermott.
I'm telling you, if I almost die, I'm not hitting the road with patience.
Sure, I have no blame to him. He didn't.
Oh, okay. I was just saying.
He didn't call.
Why should I sit still? I'm a blessing to be alive.
But no doubt, I'm very happy for him and his being alive. But it's not his fault they ran this play at all.
No, they chose him.
Exactly.
He was doing what he was instructed and paid to do.
Sean McDermott was watching either the Sixth Man or Angels in the Outfield. He saw the Hollywood ending here. He thought Hamlin was going to house this with the help of the Lord above and the Angels. That's what he thought was going to happen. He thought this, I can already see everything, all the indoors, everything. And that's an insane way to go about things. Give it to Josh Allen. He's going to get 4 yards. I have no doubt in my mind. Just have him run. He'll get the 4 yards. Or if he doesn't, that's an explainable decision. This is much like the Colts when they snapped it to Pat McAfee and had 10 other guys on it's the same play to me. It's that insane of a decision to me.
But I'm telling you, you'd think I'm a liar, but some of the stuff that happens in practice, you're like, bro, this play is not gonna work. And lo and behold, it works. So for me, when I look at the Kansas City and the Bills game, the first thing that pops up in my head, it doesn't have anything to do with Josh Allen. I thought Josh Allen and this offense, I thought they played a really good game. Yeah. I think the offense did exactly what is done. Gabe Davis was missed, but I find it interesting that Gabe Davis was missed, but yet some fans and some people believe that he doesn't really have a role in this offense, that he will become a free agent and you don't really need him. You need a better player. I don't believe that's the case, but with that being the perspective that people have and value of Gabe Davis, also tells you why and how the Green Bay Packers are so successful. They understand each role and what each receiver brings to the table in the pass game, and they haven't really figured out, because of changing of coordinators, what kind of offense are they going to be? Big explosive, or are they going to dink and dunk you? But if you dink and dunk, you got to finish.
Right.
Every time. They finish sometimes, but they have to finish every time. But the biggest thing I walked away from thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs and why they're in the AFC Championship game against the Baltimore Ravens is championship mindset. This is a team you saw only a few players spoke. There was never really any chaos on the sideline. There was no arguing. It wasn't a million player only meetings before during the sideline. It was just a few people that spoke that knew exactly what to say, when to say it, and the team answered every single time. I feel like the Bills, so many people are putting it on Josh Allen. I don't think it's Josh Allen. I think it looks at the Bills, need to find some corners, need to find some depth. And if Stephon Diggs stays, who becomes the new number one? I don't know if Shakir is the number one. He's a guy that's showing his ability to be a go-to guy. But to be the number one wide receiver, lining up as number one wide receiver next year, I think that would be a miscalculation. That's almost like giving a quarterback's coach who's almost there the reins to be the offensive coordinator, and it's maybe a year too early. And what you learn at the expense of everyone else is that individual is close, but not close enough, and it turns out to be a bad move and impact your season in a negative way.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, they took Kincaid last year.
From what school?
He was great as a rookie. He's going to have a larger role, even
what
if they
school
do.
is he from?
I believe it was Utah.
Yeah, I believe so too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Josh Allen loves throwing
I like you said.
Josh Allen loves throwing to Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
Dawson Knox loves getting hurt in cartoonish ways. Like some of the hits he takes, it looks like Wile E. Coyote, but he keeps getting back up, keeps chasing that road runner. Shakir's nice. Gabe Davis seems like he's very out of there. Diggs seems like he's over it. He's ready to move on. It'll be interesting to see because this was also the last year Josh Allen was cheap. We talk about all these other teams with all this cap space. That's not really the Bills right now. And cap space is largely fake. You can circumvent it pretty easily if you're halfway decent in the front office. But this is a team that's kind of lit money on fire as well. Von Miller did nothing this year. He was their big investment coming off the Rams Super Bowl. He did really nothing for them. Obviously, he got hurt last year. That wasn't his fault. This year, I think he had 14 tackles, no tackles for loss, no sacks, none of that. They can't afford misses like that, especially when they're now working with a max contract quarterback, not a rookie quarterback.
I forgot about that acquisition just because he hasn't been been healthy.
Right.
And when you get older and have a bad knee, that takes a little bit longer. You don't bounce back
big time.
as much.
Yeah. I'm not faulting him at all, but from a team standpoint, those are the kind of misses. You see how close the windows are. This is a game they were a field goal away from forcing overtime, forcing the Chiefs to do something.
Yep.
And now they're looking at it again. They're looking at Patrick Mahomes celebrating a win against them in the playoffs. And now everything's going to get more difficult.
This time it was away, so all the elements. I'm stuck with that with this game too, because I would say pretty much until the Kelce touchdown, I was assuming that the Buffalo Bills, you'll have two mobile quarterbacks going against each other in the AFC Championship game, right? I thought it was going to be who can make a bigger splash play. And he's not going to say it, but I think, Josh Allen being in the AFC Championship game against Lamar Jackson, he's going to try to show that he's more mobile, right? That he has to prove something. And I think it's like, when someone is going against Steph Curry, a three-point shooter who's a guy who's decent, it's like, man, I got some threes in my bag too now. So I was looking forward to that. But Kelce, making plays the way he is. So that leads me to step up into the Kansas City and Ravens game. And the key matchup that I have has to be Kyle Hamilton against Kelce.
Yeah.
And does Mike McDonald, who's primarily a zone coverage team, does he feel right if you can corral Rice, Kelce, load up the box, how much time will the Ravens give Patrick Mahomes in the pocket? And will this equal for success with a scrambling Patrick Mahomes, which we know a scrambling Patrick Mahomes since, even with Tyreek Hill, but since Tyreek Hill is gone, that doesn't equal the wins for them. That's normally a recipe for disaster for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I find it super interesting because Mahomes, he can run. He pretty much chooses not to in the regular season. And then Super Bowl, AFC Championship, divisional round, all of a sudden he takes off 25-yard run here, 25-yard run there. It feels backbreaking as if you're on the other side of it. It's like we covered this perfectly. We had a chance to get him in the backfield. We missed for whatever reason. And not only is it a first down, it's a huge chunk play.
Yeah.
At a guy who we didn't even really talk about him running that much this week because it's not what we're most worried about.
Well, I had said in one of the shorts, I said Patrick Mahomes doesn't take what the defense gives him. He's a greedy quarterback. People are like, he does take what the defense gives. There's times where Patrick Mahomes should throw the outlet or the underneath route or the hot, and sometimes he doesn't. He scrambles around and goes for the deep pass. He goes for
Right.
the explosive play. I think it's not working as much this year because when he has done that, some of the receivers have not consistently caught the ball. So he's
For
like,
sure.
man, I have to take what the defense gives me because if I wait and if I let this cab go, it ain't a guarantee that I'm gonna catch the next cab or the cab after that, and that's what happened. That's what has happened to the Kansas City Chiefs over the whole regular season. There have been plays after plays left on the field. So that makes me think this. If Kadarius Toney is healthy, but I think he probably won't ever be healthy for the Kansas City Chiefs ever again in the 2024 season, which means they don't want him on the field.
Right.
How does the Kansas City Chiefs, outside of Rice and Kelsey, what do these other guys do against a physical defense with Queen, Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, Millette, all these guys, and does or is Marlon Humphreys back to play football with his injury? If not, how do you think this game is going to play out?
I mean, I almost think you're going into Baltimore. There's one person on that offense I can think who does not care about how physical the defense is going to be. And again, that's Pacheco. I think you try and match early. You match that fire with, we've got fire of our own. This guy, he does not care how hard he's going to get hit. He's going to hit you as hard as you're going to hit him.
I've heard that before. I've seen it before.
Definitely doesn't always work.
Okay.
For sure. For sure it doesn't
because
always
Pacheco
work.
does run hard. But here's the thing with the Baltimore Ravens I think is slightly different. They gang tackle and they hit hard. So I think it's just gonna, and I'm not saying that because I used to play that. I'm just saying about watching.
Oh, yeah.
Patrick Queen is a punisher. Roquan Smith, just like the 49ers, like those, there's some players, right? When you get hit, it's like, yeah, you got me. Then there's some players just like, bro, stop.
But I also think like an underrated strength, even if they don't play like it on a week-to-week basis, they've shown since Tampa Bay lost to the Bucs in the Super Bowl, where have they spent the most money offensively? It's been the line. Yeah. I think this is a team that can utilize, hey, we don't need to just sit back, play on our heels, literally backpedaling as an offensive unit. Let's establish the run early, even if it's not like we said with Green Bay against San Francisco. They're only averaging 2-3 yards a pop with those runs, but they were imposing their will, not letting the defense impose their will onto you. So it's not even as much, we need 15-yard runs. It's more, hey, we're here to play. We're not here to just sit back and get teed off on.
I tell you, obviously, I'm going with I'm actually not going to pick because last time I picked Kansas City, I had to do something with Kansas City, and they all reminded me. Oh yeah, we heard you pick Philly when we were at the Super Bowl. I heard you pick Philly, and I was like, oh, so you're watching the pod, huh? Appreciate it, thank you. Yeah, so I'm not picking, but I did congratulate Coach Harbaugh, Eric DeCosta, and Steve Bisciotti. And Steve Bisciotti, good luck before. So they all asked me, am I coming to the game?
Yeah, I think it's only the third time Lamar and Mahomes have played against each other, which is insane, given how long they've both been in the league together. I have to pick the Chiefs. This is just the time of the year they show up.
Okay.
But
you said like somebody, you did have an intruder. So Bucs and Lions. I'm getting a lot of flack for this because I just won't give the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers any credit. They're like, oh, what did you think how he played? Yeah, he was all right. They're like, oh, he played great. Yeah, he did. Until the pick.
He had a really good season.
He had a great season.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll use a food analogy. If you make a pie, okay? I'm a baker, so I like baking, okay? You make a pie. Just because you turn up the heat a little bit and the crust is a little bit more crispier than normal. But when you cut into it, Still not done. That's who he is to me. Like we give him we get on Josh Allen. He's just okay. I think he's done well for himself, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's resurged his career because there were some times in the game last week and during the season that you go, uh-oh, that's the guy we know.
Sure. He was cut from the Panthers last year and then was on the Rams when 3 of their quarterbacks were out. This was a guy who no one projected to do anything this year. I do think he's not resurgence to the point where people are going, that's the number 1 overall pick we all thought the Browns were getting. I don't think he can ever get back to that level. But as I sit here, I think the Bucs should re-sign him. I don't know why they would let him go. I'm not saying give him $200 million or anything like that, but 3-year deal, I don't think there's anything crazy with that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think there's been examples, and there's one of the examples is Seattle right now, is you have a really good year, then you put you give that individual the whole offense, and you give him the reins, and giving him the reins becomes the whole reason why you shouldn't have. Because you give him the bag, that means you got to give him the keys. Sometimes we look for answers as a player, and we need to more examine the question. So here's the question: when we talk about players, what do you want to be known for?
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at this particular player at quarterback, a lot of quarterbacks now today in National Football League, we go through the Patrick Mahomes, we got to throw his name in there, the C.J. Strauss, the Lamar Jackson. Right? Joe Burrow. Maybe if he keeps it up, Jake Browning. Like there's some players. Just think about.
Sure. That's not the name I expected.
I said if he keeps it up, there's players
for sure.
that you go, what is he named for? And you just say, hey, he's performing well. I don't think we can say that about Baker because a lot of times when he's performed well, what has always followed up with it? A running game.
Definitely.
He is a guy you gotta run the ball for him to be effective. And that's all I'm saying because Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, let's be honest. Hell, for Josh Allen, he had no running game pretty much for 15 weeks. He had no running game.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of the Geno comparison that's fair is people had given up on him as well. And he showed, hey, I can still do this better. Like you're telling me there's 32 of these jobs. I feel like I'm deserving of one of the 32. Now, the coaching that you're talking about, it's something we've stressed all year on this program. What did Tampa do before the season? They got a new OC. Leftwich was out. They brought in a new. Yeah, they had to.
And I was watching the broadcast, and they were showing him on the sideline. They were like, "Yeah, they brought him in, and he fought for it. He was going against Trask. He didn't fight. Trask can't hit a trash can." I've watched him practice. I've been out there. I'm like, wow. Blake Gabbert looks like Joe Montana compared to Trask. I mean, it's not even close.
For sure.
First, Trask plays quarterback. You might as well put me at center and let me guard Shaq. Boy, I'm because we're the same height.
I think Tampa could do a lot worse. I think it's still a winnable division. That's where it's like, and Todd Bowles is a guy who has never really been given credit. And there are definitely times where he doesn't want that credit now, where he'll go out of his way to be like, I'm going to make an interesting call here as well. I feel like both of them deserve a lot of credit for navigating. Again, I've seen teams when Tom Brady leaves, what happens. I've lived through that.
Yeah,
I give Tampa all the credit in the world.
So I don't know if the Lions can pull this off because the Lions at times, even in all the games they've played in the playoffs, especially the last month, there's always this moment in the third or fourth quarter that they just do something that makes you super nervous. Like them kneeling too early, them going for 2-point conversion after getting 3 chances. Like they just do something in the end of the game, in the win, that you just go, do you really want to do that?
Even the Cowboys game with them just refusing to kick the extra point, I still see long-term value in Campbell being like, hey, you know who I am. You know I'm going to be aggressive to the end, and the guys rallying around that. Obviously, it didn't work in that scenario, but it hasn't cost them. Look where they are right now.
I understand, but that's the point of where I'm saying that somewhere in that third and fourth quarter, this I'm going to go for it. I believe in the San Francisco 49ers game, that can end up to points for the other team because Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, they try every opportunity to score points, and they come at you so consistently, so much. Now, it may not feel like it or look like it, but he's going through his plays. They go, okay, this play does not work, but if we do this play does. And so it just starts to and at the worst time, they always, just like the Kansas City Chiefs. And I wrote this down because I was like, man, I wrote this down. I said, the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers will have a play or two that no one sees coming. Like just some play, you go, the hell? Where did they get that play from? And that type of football where they come at you with a play you never seen coming, and it's not a trick play. It's just a play for them. But for Detroit, that's a trick play. And that's what makes me more. What I'm worried about Detroit is they know they're playing with house money, and they carry themselves like they're playing with house money. That's the part that makes me nervous. Sometimes I just want somebody who's playing with house money. Why you got to wear gold chains? Why do you have to let me know that you won the lotto? Like, be a little bit more discreet.
Could
right?
you not say that? I was going to say, could you not say the same about Shanahan? Because you compare him to Reed. To me, I compare him more to Eagles Andy Reid because he hasn't finished it yet. He has not done the job. He has run some questionable plays, like when he was in Atlanta, that cost a lot of things. Cost in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
His play calling and refusing to run the ball late in the game, part of why they didn't win.
Well, what you saying? Yes. And this makes this an exciting football game. But the outlier for me, even though both teams, the 49ers and the Lions, secondary at times, I believe the secondary for the Lions will be on more high alert than the Eagles,
Sure.
than the Lions, because I do believe the front seven for the 49ers has just a little bit more stinger than the Lions. But if you're telling me right now that they put Cam Sutton on the island with Brandon Ayuk, I'm taking Brandon Ayuk all day.
Sure. But would you say the Lions front seven is at more of an advantage against the 49ers offensive line than the 49ers front seven is against the Lions offensive line? Basically, I think the Lions offensive line is better. There's a larger gap between the Lions offensive line and the 49ers offensive line.
I agree, but here's
the 49ers front seven and the Lions front seven.
The Lions front seven really only have Hutchinson.
He's the standout for sure.
I'm
but
talking
they have
about
guys
I'm talking about consistently.
Sure.
Where, yes, the Lions offensive line as a whole is better. Agree with you. the way that, but you got to remember, this offensive line also had to dedicate 3 guys to Aaron Jones.
Aaron Donald, yeah.
I'm sorry, Aaron Donald. 3 guys.
And
then the other guys outside of that were just okay. Now with Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Gregory, I think, and Fred Warner, Greenlaw, like the way that Steve Wilks does with this defense and just the front seven, I believe that the front seven for the 49ers on paper scare me to impact and get after Jared Goff on a more consistent basis than the Lions, because the Lions do get a good pass rush, but they also go 1 or 2 quarters without getting to the quarterback as well.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers are a more extreme version of the Lions defensively.
Yes.
And maybe even offensively. You could just say it's kind of like varsity JV in some regards. Quarterback play, you could say, is similar. Receiving core, you could say, is kind of similar, especially without Debo playing. If Debo's playing, it falls
I agree.
apart.
I do say, though, I would say, based off what we have seen over the last couple of weeks, I would give Jared Goff the edge over calmness under pressure than Brock Purdy.
Sure.
Brock Purdy with the with the Packers, he was not steady and he was not calm. He was making in-there throws. He did some things that he's done against when the 4 games when Debo was out against the Ravens. He did some things where you go, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Jared Goff is seeing pretty steady and calm. And yeah, he still, he had a play against the Rams where he tried to bounce pass it to somebody when he was under duress. But again, every quarterback does something under duress. Patrick Mahomes does some stuff like, well, what are you doing?
For sure, yeah.
Right, so, but I think Jared Goff has really stayed pretty calm under duress, and he's been hitting them out several times, delivering the football in both playoff games.
Well, it's interesting because, the Lions haven't been here before. Goff has.
Yeah.
There has to be some level of confidence in him. He's played in this stadium. He's played big games before. He's played NFC championships and won. Yeah. He knows that feeling. Purdy doesn't. No fault of his own. He's only had 1 shot. He got hurt immediately. But that has to be some level of mental advantage that you can't really quantify.
Yeah, when to be able to have deja vu, to be able to prepare yourself mentally and physically for a place you've been, and you can reset, you can capture that negative thought, dismiss it, and then start all over because you know what the feeling is. You know how it feels. You know what you need to do to get yourself ready, at least theoretically, because you've been there before. When you haven't, sometimes it's good, but then other times you're trying to catch your breath and you're trying to go, hey, I need to calm down. I got to catch my breath. But you've been here before to where you have something to pull from that at least is familiar, that you can lie to yourself and say, man, don't worry about that.
Right.
Where there's times where you're going, yeah, you good? Yeah, you good. I'm good. And then in your head, you go, I'm not good. I'm not good. I'm not good. Right? That you don't have to actually professionally lie to yourself to get yourself there. You have that journey to that you journaled about, either physically or that you can pull back and say, man, I know what I'm doing. I know it's going to get rocky. That's fine. But when things settle, I'll be under control.
And if Debo's not playing, sure, the Lions secondary, nothing to write home about. But as we talked about,
that helps them.
Sure, but if Kyle Hamilton on Travis Kelce's the big matchup, what about Brian Branch on Kittle? Because you would assume they're going to be looking to him a lot in the pass game. If they can put Branch on Kittle and kind of neutralize that, I think he's up to that task.
That's going to be a good matchup too, man. Is how do they do that? But then what they have too is, which is the guy, the outlier. That's where CMC comes in.
For sure.
Right? Because who do you say CMC who do you have on your defense line that you feel comfortable after these other guys? Because basically you're saying Branch has to cover Kelsey or CMC. The problem is Kyle Shanahan is going to throw both of them at you at the exact same time on the same side of the field in a formation.
Yeah, it's where, I mean, the Lions made 2 first-round picks this year. They were both mocked. Now they're in the NFC Championship. That's besides the point. Jack Campbell was a 99th percentile athlete at the linebacker position. This is who they took him for. I'm not saying he's going to shut down CMC. Nobody can.
I don't
That's
think
just not how it works.
I don't know if he's ready yet. I think he'll be there. I'm not sure that he's
They got to try something.
I know. I'm saying how he performs in this game is not an indication of
1000%.
What he will be next
1000%.
year. I was told he's getting there, but he's not there yet.
For sure. Yeah, you just got to hope he makes a play.
He'll make a play. I don't think it'll be a number of plays just because I still think the game is a little bit too fast for him. And I think this game, these are the type of games, it may be too fast for you, but this is the mental game where you can go back and play and slow it down and know how and what you did wrong to be able to allow when it comes back up, you say, hey, this guy is really good. But I've went against CMC, one of the better caliber guys. Yeah. And I can go back and know exactly right. There's some times, if you can get there, where, bro, I would watch and be able to look and slow down the world.
Sure.
And make it to where I was the only person on the field, and I was able to block out the crowd to where it was me and this guy, and I just saw the quarterback, and I was running my route, and I would only be able to turn the crowd back on after I caught the ball.
Yeah. All rushes to you.
It took me probably about 6 years to do that. And after that 6 years, I was able to do it every day after that, every game, every play.
Yeah. Yeah, getting in the zone.
Yeah. So.
And flip side, we talked about the Lions defense. Amon-Ra St. Brown is not going to be covered easily.
No, he's not.
I don't care who they put on him.
Tre'Davious Ward is going to have a world of a time. A lot of people always ask me or say who. I was watching St. Brown watching this game, and I rewatched the game last week. I would say he's the closest player that I think that's out there currently right now that I say I can see myself, or I see me and him and me.
What specifically about him? Because I don't initially make that connection. I'm not saying you're wrong. Obviously, you know much better than I do. But that's when I see him, I'm not like, there goes 89.
I know much better about myself than you know about me. So, yes.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt.
Yep.
But even like draft, as he's developed into this all-pro and stuff, I haven't even heard anyone else make that parallel either. You know what I mean?
Just the way he attacks the football. At times he does things that some people kind of like, what is he doing? And I see exactly why he's doing it. So when he catches the ball, the next move is to set up the first move he does isn't where he wants to go, is setting up to go where he really wants to go. So he'll catch it and go here, and then he'll spin out and go that way. And you're like, oh, that was a great move. It wasn't a move for him. That's the way his mind worked.
Sure.
Because of the body move.
Differently.
Yes. So I saw
That's something you were talking about with Zay Flowers during his tape, when we were breaking down his tape, how he attacked after the catch.
Yes.
How he attacked space.
Correct. He's strong. He takes his craft very seriously, but you can also see he's a huge processor. Like I can see there's a few times he caught the ball, made the play, he's throwing the ball to the ref, and then he's looking at the defender, the DB. He's not necessarily talking to him, but I can see he's processing like, hey, I should have did this. Mm-hmm. And so talked to people down there. I said, man, I think he's the closest that I see myself, not in regards to anything more, just how I could just see his wheels are constantly turning all the time.
Now, I definitely don't know you as well as you know yourself, no doubt. But I do know you're a 49ers fan, and I do know the one commonality between you and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Big chip on the shoulder, guys. He's the type of guy, he'll name every receiver who's taken in front of him. He loves a personal slight. I think this is some mental warfare from 49ers fan 89, trying to soften him up a little bit, trying to get that edge off him a little bit. So maybe he eases up a little bit on the 49ers secondary. That's what I see. Because you've said from the mountaintops, I'll never compare anyone to myself. And here you are paying the highest personal compliment you can pay a young man in the NFL playing the receiver position. I see what you're doing here, and I don't hate it. It's mental war NFC Championship for Agent 89. I don't hate it.
I was just giving a dude a compliment, man. Sorry. I was not hitting it to like, hey, whoa. No, I wasn't. Mm-hmm. I appreciate it though.
Sure thing, yeah.
All right. Hey, man. Well, hey, fantastic show, man. Let's see if I'm right and you're wrong, or
you didn't pick any games. Right. How could you be right? You be right or wrong about anything?
I got the 49ers and Ravens. That's who I have.
Okay. All right. Rematch. I don't hate it. I'll go Chiefs Lions just so we can have right versus wrong. But I don't know what I anticipate, but I'll go with it.
Yeah.
3 games left.
All right. Appreciate it. Cool. All right. I'm Steve Smith Sr.
Coley Mick.
Let's cut to it.